In the beginning of this course, we showed a dashboard to analyze a set of data such as this. This is a data set, it's got 900 rows, and I want to be able to look at it and evaluate it differently. And we had demonstrated this dashboard that we had created, where we have these drop-down menus that allow us to choose all ages or choose a certain age, lower range, upper range. We can filter this by sex, by pane type. We can even change the sort column, whether we want to sort the columns by any of these criteria, and also the sort order, ascending or descending. Well, let's just see how you can build something like this. The first step in doing a project like this, let's get started, and let's down here in column 5, row 5, let's type our query. So it's equal query, and the query is heart data. We've already set that up as a named range. Let's just hit enter and see what we get. There's our data. All right, and there's our query. So what I'd like to do is then start working with our select statement. Let's select all this data and double click between the column headers and shrink the data down. In order to see this select statement a little more clearly, what I want to do is start typing the select statement in column A2. Equals quotation marks select. Select star, and let's end that with our quotation mark. And notice it says select star. To make this easier to read, I'm going to make this large, bold, and red. Okay, here's our select statement. So what we're going to do, just to show how this works, I'm going to come here and I'm going to do heart data, comma, and just to point this out. So this is our query. Actually, if I'm here, that's my data. Once I put in the comma, I'm on my query, and my query is going to be A2. Hit enter, and it still works. So let's see what happens if I change my select statement. Select star where, let's say where A, that's column A, is greater than or equal to, let's just choose a number, 77. And notice, okay, that works. So we are using a select statement where A is greater than 77. Perfect. Or our select statement could be where A is less than or equal to, let's say, 35. Okay, I can see that I've got, that many returns if I do that. Okay, but now what I want to do, that's not going to be very convenient, so we're going to build a drop-down menu that lists all of the names. So we'll come and do that over here in column N, and I'm going to type this formula equals, I'm going to use the open curly bracket, double quotes, and this is going to be all ages, because I want to create a header that says all ages. I'm going to use a semicolon, and then my formula is going to be sort unique, and then the text we're looking for is column the data set. So that's the data set. That's the data we're looking at. By the way, I could type this out, or now that I have that, I could come over here and I could say this column here, and then come back to my sheet 6. It's going to be A2 because I don't want to include that word age in there. So A2A, and I have to wrap that up, and then I have to follow up with this. Now notice I have a list with that formula. I have a list of all the ages. Now one of the cool things about this, we'll show this where we're going to use this a little bit later. But if I drag that across, now I'm getting, it's called all ages, but I'm actually getting the genders. All I'd have to do there is change that to genders. And we'll use this a little bit later. We'll fill this out. So I have all my genders, male, female. I could drag that across and get all those columns that we have across here. So now what I want to do in column A1, what I want to do is use this data validation. And the data validation is going to be all ages. Say OK, save. And I might have to widen this out now a little bit. But all ages, I can choose all ages. I can choose any one of my dates. So now I can change my select statement to where, instead of A is less than or equal to a number, I'm going to say where A is equal to, and I'm going to reference the cell A1. And to do that, because it's numeric mostly, I'm going to use the double quote and the ampersand and the cell reference A1 ampersand double quote. Finish that my statement. And now select where A is equal to 33. Well, we wanted that to be greater than or equal to 33. Okay, so now if I come down and go and choose 71, or I choose something real high like 75, okay, great. So now my drop down is working with this select statement. But what happens when I do all ages? Well, it breaks. And it breaks because, first of all, there is no all ages over here in the data set. So we have to trick this, where it says all ages, we have to trick this into being, if it's all ages, I have to use another formula to make it give me all the data. And let me just show you here. If we do a formula that looks like this, formula that would be equals double quotes, select star where 1 equals 1. Now 1 equals 1 is always going to be true. So let me go ahead and copy this format, paste it here. So select star where 1 equals 1. So what happens if I reference A3 instead of A2? Well, I get all the data. So I can use this little trick with an if statement to fill in this so that we can choose all ages. Right now, let me go back then to, the actual, let's mark this as our formula. Let's go back here and change this back to A2. Okay, it breaks. So we're going to fix that. So we'll solve this with an if statement. So let's do this, where what we're going to do is put in a double quote, and then we'll do an ampersand if, and now our if statement is going to be if A1 is equal to all ages, then our true statement will be 1 equals 1. And our false statement will be, wrapped in quotes, A is greater than or equal to A1. Let's see what that does for us. So now, notice my select statement. Let's get rid of this one. We were just showing that as an example. Notice the select statement now says where 1 equals 1. And if I switch to a number, the select statement says where select star where a is greater than or equal to 28, select star where 1 equals 1. So just to show that that's actually working, let's go up one of these bigger numbers. Great. So now we have a way to make this work with the header, all ages, all genders. Well, let's see how we could add. Let's see how we could add one where it would be greater than a certain age and less than another. So what we're going to do here, let me widen this out. We're going to select star where and if all A1 is all ages, it's going to be 1 equals 1, and if it's greater than or equal to A1 is the false statement. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold down the control key on my Mac, press return, that lets me get down, and I'm going to add another statement. It's going to be and if, and we will start that if statement. And if, in this case, what I'm going to do is, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and copy all of this, make it easier. I'll go ahead and paste it here. And this time it's going to be B1 because I'm going to put a, let's see, is equal to B1 greater than, or actually that'll be less than. Let's go ahead and do that. And if I had enter, I think I'm not going to get anything, but what if I were to copy this across and go ahead and start with something like 28 and move that up to something like 31. We have an error in here. Let's see. Select star. Oh, we need an and statement. So select star. We need to add and in front of this. Let's go ahead and do that because we're dealing with an and. I think I might put a space before and I think I better put an and in here. Ah, there we go. So now if this is all ages as my lower range, and this is all ages as my upper range, select star where 1 equals 1 and 1 equals 1. If this is 28 and this is 33, select star where a is greater than or equal to 28, a is less than or equal to 33. If this was all ages, this is select star where a is greater than 28 and 1 equals 1. We're referencing each one of these every time we reference that. So great. Now we are getting all of the data that we want, and we can quickly compare what we get if we look at ages 30 to 32. So let's see how we might build this out into adding more of these choices. Like I had pointed out, I can drag these across. Let me drag it across a few of these, and notice I'm getting, it's called all genders, but what we'd have to look back here and see is what's on the data set in this third column. It's chest pain type. So I'm going to quickly fill all these out. And then, since I've filled out all of these formulas over here, I've gone ahead and also added this information over here at the top. So we have drop-down menus now for all genders, all pain types, all BPs, all cholesterol, all ECGs, all and so forth. I've gone ahead and added those in just to see as an example. That's done with data validation. Again, just referencing the column over here where we have built out our lists. So in the next video, we will go ahead and show how we can add all these to this select statement that we have here. Right now we're just using these two. Let's continue on in the next video to see how we can add all of these so that we'll have a dynamic dashboard where you could choose and filter on any of these different criteria.